Hello, welcome to the 15th Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report on this channel. This is going to be a 2,500 point battle between High Elves, which I'm using, versus Dark Elves, and there's no comp or anything, it's just a straightforward game. So I've put the army lists in the video description. I'm not going to put them in the actual video, so take a look at those if you want, and I'll just go over the deployment now. So this High Elf list is basically the same as the last two games that I played on Universal Battle using High Elves. Those games were ETC comps, so they were 2,400 points. Guy was playing here said he wanted to do 2,500 no comp, so I added a bolt thrower and full command to the Silver Helm unit, which didn't have any command, to make up the extra 100 points. So go from left to right. I've got 5 Silver Helms with full command, a bolt thrower, a Great Eagle, 15 Silver Helms with full command, a BSB with Band of the World Dragon, BSB with Ogre Blade, 2 Mages, one with Khaine's Ring of Fury, one with Dispel Scroll. Behind the rocks I've got the Star Dragon Lord with Giant Blade, Dawnstone, and again I can't remember what other stuff he's got, but check the army list if you want to see. 2 more bolt throwers, 5 Silver Helms with Banner and Champion, another bolt thrower and a Frostheart Phoenix. And the Dark Elves from left to right, there's 10 Warlocks, 5 Dark Riders, 10 Crossbowmen, another 5 Dark Riders, Cauldron Chariot, bolt thrower, 10 Crossbowmen, another Chariot and bolt thrower. Then it looks like there's about, I think, 30 Executioners in that unit, might be 28 or 30, with there's a Cauldron of Blood and 2 Mages, level 4 and level 2, one using metal, one using life, and on the right hand side 2 more units of Dark Riders, and I believe all the Dark Riders have got crossbows and shields as well. And magic wise, I was really pleased with the spells that I rolled. Both my level 2s took a high magic, and I've got obviously got Soul Quench on Khaine's Ring of Fury. I've got another regular Soul Quench, Hand of Glory, Walk Between Worlds, and Fiery Convocation. And Dark Elves, the metal one took the Searing Doom, Transmutation of Lead, Enchanted Blades of Iban, and Plague of Rust. And the Life Mage has got Flesh to Stone and Earth Blood. So here's Dark Elves, which got the first turn, and this is after the magic phase. So movement like so, on the left hand side Warlocks and Dark Riders are advancing, Crossbowmen walk into the building, the Chariots in the centre and the other Crossbowmen unit just all march up. Or Chariots obviously can't march, they move up as much as they can. The Executioner Horde moves up, and then some Dark Riders come in front of the bus to redirect, and the other Dark Riders are just behind the hill there. And in the magic phase he gets off a Plague of Rust onto my bus, which permanently reduces the save of that unit by 1, so the Silver Helms have a 3+ save now instead of 2+. Fortunately for me though, his shooting phase is abysmal and he just fails to wound with almost everything. Pours a lot of shots into the bolt thrower on the left hand side and a fair few into my bus, but he only manages to kill 1 Silver Helm in the bus. High Elves turn 1, and the only charge this turn is I charge the Silver Helms on the left hand side into those Dark Riders there. And other movement, my bus actually stays still. The Eagle flies in front of the Executioners. They have witchbrew, so they're frenzied, so if they charge they'll have to overrun. Dragon and small unit of Silver Helms and Frost Phoenix all fly round to the flank of the Executioners, and next turn I should be able to get some charges off on the bolt throwers if I survive. In the magic phase I decide that I want those Dark Riders which are in front of my bus to die, but unfortunately I don't get Soul Quench off on them, so I settle for a Hand of Glory on the far right bolt thrower and push it up to ballistic skill 7. And it's a great shooting phase for me. On the right hand side those 3 bolt throwers easily kill the 5 Dark Riders, and the other bolt thrower, which had the Dark Riders threatening it, kills 3 of them, and they fail their panic test and run away. And finally in the combat phase, my Silver Helms beat the Dark Riders, but I don't catch them when they break, and I end up showing my flank to the Warlocks. Dark Elves turn 2, Warlocks charge the Silver Helms, but I flee through the impassable terrain and he fails to charge, and the Executioners charge the Great Eagle. Other movement, the Chariots advance very cautiously again, and that one chariot in the centre is careful to stay behind the hill since it doesn't want to take a charge from my bus. And Dark Riders are coming round, 3 of them versus the left-hand bolt thrower, and then those 3 bolt throwers on the right have got a unit of 5 Dark Riders coming up to them as well. In the magic phase he gets off a flesh to stone on his Executioner unit. I think I let that one through just because I don't plan on going against that unit anytime soon. And then I believe he's Irresistible Forces another Plague of Rust on my Silver Helms, so I now only have a 4+ armour save with that unit, and I'm starting to get very scared of all these armour piercing bolts he's toting. So in the shooting phase he fires a lot at my bolt throwers, so fortunately my bus gets away pretty unscathed this turn. He can't roll any 6s to save his life, and no wounds on the bolt throwers. I lose 1 Silver Helm from the small unit on the left hand side, but one of his bolt throwers single shots my dragon, gets lucky and does 2 wounds to the dragon. And in combat he obviously destroys the eagle, but this is absolutely huge. He overruns 11 inches with his Executioners and ends up showing his flank to my bus. High Elves turn 2. It wasn't an easy decision by any stretch of the imagination. Normally I would love to flank charge that unit, and it's the only hope I think I'd ever have of breaking it with my Silver Helms, but he's toughness 5 and my Silver Helms only have a 4+ armour save, so they'll get nothing against his strength 6. His Executioners have 2 attacks each because of the witchbrew on that unit, so even though I'm going to get a flank, he has a fair few attacks against me. He rerolls because of hatred, and I'm going in alone. You know, the Silver Helms are not supported by anything, unfortunately. So I wasn't sure it was the right thing to do, but rather than trying to avoid that unit all game, I thought I would at least try and take it down early on. So I charge into the flank with my bus, and my dragon makes a charge against a central bolt thrower. The Silver Helms get the bolt thrower in the forest, and my Frostheart Phoenix comes round to the other flank of the Executioners, ready to help out next turn if needs be. So in the magic phase I get off Walk Between Worlds on the Phoenix and just move it very slightly and just use that to get the 6+ ward, and I also get Hand of Glory off on the Silver Helms, get +3 weapon skill, so that's a 5+ ward for my unit as well. But I've just noticed from this picture you can see the number 5 spell from metal is sitting on my Silver Helms, so last turn I forgot to mention he got off Transmutation of Lead on that unit as well. And that's a temporary -1 to weapon skill, ballistic skill and armour saves. So fortunately my Hand of Glory gives me +3 and it's -1, still puts me at weapon skill 6, so I'll be hitting him on a 3+ with my regular guys. The shooting phase is pretty good for me again. On the left hand side the bolt thrower kills all 3 of those Dark Riders that were threatening it, and obviously the 5 Dark Riders on the right hand side were not going to be long for this world in the face of 3 bolt throwers, and they die as well. So I've actually killed 3 of his 4 Dark Rider units now as well, and I think they come out 100 points each, so start to rack up the points a little bit. Combat phase part 1. The Silver Helms kill the bolt thrower in the forest and reform. My dragon kills the bolt thrower, and I decide to overrun because the other bolt thrower is exactly 12 inches away, and I get the double 6, so I overrun into that one as well. And here's the result of the main combat. I only kill 5 guys, he kills 4 of mine. I win combat, but he's steadfast and 6, and he makes his test to reform as well. So it was worth a shot, but I'm about to learn the meaning of pain from those Executioners next turn. Dark Elves turn 3, there's no charges. He decides not to charge the bolt thrower with the warlocks, and they just come round to behind my bus. And he also moves a chariot up onto the hill to my bus's flank, in case I survive, I guess, although I can't see that bus lasting very long now. Not much else in terms of movement. He's got 2 Dark Riders up on the left hand side above the rocks, and I've parked my Silver Helm unit in front of them to block them from charging the bolt thrower. I don't know if he just forgot about them or something, but he leaves them there as well. Magic and shooting must have been dreadful because I didn't bother taking a slide of either of them, and this is how it looks after combat. So my Dragon Lord is reformed after killing the bolt thrower, and in the Executioner combat he kills all of my regular guys outright with his attacks. I mean, he did lose Frenzy last turn, so they've only got 1 attack, but now obviously he reformed and he gets 3 ranks of attacks. He's in Horde, and he's got a Death Hag on there as well, and I have like a 5-up armour save and a 5+ ward on my guys, and that's it. So he kills all the regular guys, and I flee. He decides not to pursue, and he can do that because he's not frenzied. I reckon he was just thinking that with my swift stride I would probably get away, so that it wasn't worth pursuing. As it happens, I only rolled like a 7, so he must have been kicking himself. And he reforms to face the Phoenix like that. So my BSB auto dies when he flees, but both my mages are still alive, and my noble with the Ogre Blade is still alive. So although that looks pretty disastrous, and that unit, as I'm quite fond of saying, is around about 1,000 points. If you add up the points that he's actually scored so far from killing that unit, he's only killed about 500 points worth. So not as bad as it looks, although I was gutted to lose the bus. And at this stage in the game I was kind of thinking it was all over. High Elves turn 3, so I'm just desperately thinking what I can do to salvage the game. Obviously the main thing I need to do is to stop those warlocks from charging my characters. Incidentally, those characters that were in the bus have now formed their own unit. I'm not 100% sure if that's the correct way to play it, or if they should split up into 3 individual characters now. So if anyone's watching and knows the actual rule, do let me know. So I decide to charge the warlocks with the dragon. Only need an 8, I think, and I fail the charge. So the dragon just moves up 4 inches. However, I do get a flank charge on the chariot on the hill with the Phoenix and the knights. Magic phase, he uses his scroll this turn to stop me walking between worlds and moving my characters further away from the warlocks. And that's all that happens that phase. In the shooting phase, I've really got to panic those warlocks, I think. So I kill a couple with a bolt thrower, but they pass their leadership test. The other 3 bolt throwers, however, do a absolute number on the executioners. You can see just how much they've destroyed there. That's a combination of the casualties taken from the Silver Helms and the bolt throwers firing 18 shots into them. That unit's looking a lot less threatening now. In combat, the Phoenix and the Silver Helms kill the chariot outright, and I hold, I don't overrun. And we go on to Dark Elves turn 4. So he tries a charge with the warlocks against my characters, and I don't know what I was so worried about before, because I just elect to flee. And I bounce through the impassable terrain again, and he can't complete the charge. So as long as I can make a leadership 9 rally test with them next turn, I'll be fine. I bounce through 2 bolt throwers and end up in the position in the top right corner of the board. And one of the bolt throwers panics, so the crew just cower. There's no other charges, and he reforms his swift reforms his executioners and brings them round to face the Phoenix and the dragon. In Magic, he gets off a boosted Searing Doom onto the Silver Helm unit next to the Phoenix and kills them all, and he also gets Throne of Vines off on the Executioners again. And nothing happens in the shooting phase, so we're on to High Elves turn 4 now. So things are actually looking up. With the Warlocks failing the charge like that, I put my Phoenix into their flank, and my dragon also makes a flank charge into the Cauldron chariot, and I'll be able to overrun into the warlocks and get my dragon and Phoenix against them as well, and pick up quite a lot of points that way. I move my last remaining Silver Helm unit in the left hand corner of the board, move that up so that the bolt thrower can see the Dark Riders. Presumably my opponent is rather startled by the realisation that he's still got some Dark Riders there since they haven't moved the last few turns, and that's all my movement. In Magic, I get off Hand of Glory onto the central bolt thrower, and then I 6 dice Fiery Convocation and get Irresistible Force onto the Executioners. Yeah, they're toughness 5, but it'd be nice to have a Remains in Play spell that will use up some of his power dice next turn as well. And I kill 4 or 5 of them, I think, and put wound onto the Cauldron of Blood. And with the miscast, I get a small round blast, so my wizard takes a wound, my noble saves thanks to the ward from the spell, and the other wizard takes a wound as well. In shooting, I only kill 1 of the Dark Riders with the bolt thrower, and the other 3 bolt throwers are scuppered by the toughness 5 executioners and don't kill anyone. So combat part 1, my dragon makes short work of the Cauldron chariot and overruns into the warlocks like so. I then roll my attacks against the warlocks, and my Frost Phoenix, my Star Dragon and my Prince with the Giant Blade all combined managed to kill 2 warlocks, purely thanks to some really good rolls on the 4 ward save that the warlocks have. So they would still have steadfast, however I haven't used my dragon breath yet, so I flaming breath them and do 5 wounds, and he makes 4 of his ward saves, so that's just enough for me. Takes away his steadfast and he breaks. I pursue and catch him, and after I catch the warlocks, the Dark Elf player calls the game and concedes. So in this shot I haven't actually moved the dragon and the Phoenix, they would be outside of the Executioner's charge arc. Personally, if I was a Dark Elf player, I would have continued. I think Dark Elves are still in with a shot, especially if he can get some magic off on the dragon, but he's not actually going to be able to catch my flying units anyway, so I can understand why he conceded the game. So now the Star Dragon list goes 3 for 3, and I was very, very surprised to come back and win that one after losing the bus. We didn't actually total up victory points, but after the battle I did a rough calculation, and High Elves at the end of turn 4 have scored about 1,000, and Dark Elves 732. So really interesting battle. Hope you enjoyed it, thanks for watching and see you next time.